Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Today is the day. I'm sorry, actually, a day late, a dollar short. Talked about putting this video out yesterday. I recorded it twice yesterday. I recorded it once while initially watching the reveal, and I had nothing but great things to say. Uh, Anyone who's watched the reveal might feel similar to that. Harley-Davidson's put out a 2025 CVO Road Glide RR. So this isn't the picture of it, but this guy right here. This is the one on their website. And I recorded it. I watched the video, had nothing but good things to say. But at the end of the day, it always comes back to how much does it cost? And I didn't know when the day would be that I'd see a motorcycle, a Harley-Davidson, over $100,000. But yesterday was the day. And I've watched a lot of YouTubers, many videos on people just kind of reviewing the bike, talking about how amazing the bike is. I don't think anybody's going to dispute that this bike is kick-ass, right? I guess I have to correct the record on my last video because I was talking about being hopeful with a water-cooled motor. And when I say a water-cooled motor, I mean the whole motor, not just the heads. I don't necessarily know how this motor is cooled, but I believe it's similar to other water-cooled bikes by Harley, and that the heads are water-cooled and the rest of the motor remains air-cooled. So don't quote me on that. I could be totally wrong. So I'll correct the record on my last video where at least I was speculating on what this bike is, and I was off the mark, right? I don't think I was totally off the mark. We figured out that it was a Road Glide. We figured out that it was going to be some version of the CVO. This is very clearly that. It's the CVO Road Glide RR. Just didn't know what all the details were going to be. So before I start just going on my soapbox and being upset about the announcement, because it's not an announcement for the layman, right? They've released 131 of these bikes. I imagine some of those are well in advance spoken for by certain people in the motor company, whether that's Kyle Wyman getting number 33 out of 131 or what have you. But let's just pretend price doesn't exist. Look at this bike for what it is. I think it's a work of art. I know that the Harley-Davidson crew poured their heart and soul into this motorcycle. I know the factory race team was very much involved, which is obvious by the teaser trailer and then the announcement trailer. Jason, who's like their head of racing, is plastered all over the place with a bunch of different YouTubers and discussing the motorcycle. He's the tech guy. He knows this motorcycle, the race team motorcycle, inside and out, every flaw, detail, what have you. I made the mistake last year of being at the Harley-Davidson homecoming rally, and I walked up to him, and I have no idea who this guy is, but I think he thinks everybody knows who he is. But to be honest, like, King of the Baggers is a cool series, but it's not. It's popular, but I don't think it's that popular that we all know everybody who's in the pits, right? So I walked up to him and I thought he was Travis Wyman because I didn't even know what Travis looked like. I knew what Kyle looked like because he's the front man, but he didn't take too kindly to that, just so you know. And you kind of get through some of the things that he says with the YouTubers and some of his, I don't want to be too brash here, but his ego with what he knows and what he does. And hey, rightfully so, he's a smart guy, but yeah, just interesting. So anyway, again, heart and soul poured into this thing. Billet machined aluminum pieces are beautiful. Crucis said it best. He's like, I gotta have those mid controls. Those are the best, highest quality mid controls I've ever seen. They've got a Krapovich. I know I'm probably mispronouncing that. 2-in-1 exhaust with the titanium header covers. You know, you've got a suspension on this bike that's the same suspension that's on the racing bike, except it's just dialed a little bit softer so that it's not as harsh on, you know, everyday riding, that sort of thing. The paint scheme, the swing arm, nuts. I'm not going to quote specs because I don't know enough about it, but like a 220-pound block of aluminum, I believe it's machined out of, and they put it into a computer program, and it determines like the perfect machining algorithm every single time, and it turns into this beautiful 18-pound swing arm that just unbelievable amount of weight reduction. It just has great Harley DNA throughout. I mean, you'd expect nothing less. It's got the race replica motor, one of 131. I don't recall everything, but I mean, look at the way these which parts are machined, the carbon fiber, the H pipe. I mean, yeah, you're redlining up at 6,500R. For those of you who don't know, that's pretty high for a Harley. The numbers are insane. They've got an overbuilt transmission. The way it shifts, a lot of the specs about that are different. Again, I don't remember all the nitty gritty details, but I have to say, if I didn't know what the price was, there's nothing about this bike that I dislike, especially for where motorcycles are at right now, the performance scene, what people are into. Like, this is ticking all the boxes for us, right? Especially for the Road Glide guys and just that people who are into the King of the Baggers. They've got all the tech in there. There's a track mode. I think the ST's got the track mode as well. I can't recall. But again, carbon fiber up in the dash. I want to say these Rockford Fosgate speakers are redesigned for this model. I think someone had mentioned that in one of the videos I watched. Yeah, beautiful bike. Kyle Wyman track tests it. Super awesome. He talks about how he can't believe that it's road legal and all these sorts of things. And yeah, I mean, when I first watched the announcement video, I was, one, surprised, and two, my mouth was open for most of the review, and I was recording it just like this. I was like, man, look at that thing. Look at this. Look at that. Just couldn't stop talking and ranting and raving about it. And as amazing as this motorcycle is, and this is where I'm going to start kind of going the other way a little bit. And I know not everybody's going to agree with me. It's the new hotness that's people are just by default going to support and enjoy whatever new thing it is that Harley's coming out with. And it's cool, right? So it's hard to like dog on it too bad. But I just, maybe it's just me, right? I don't know all of the details about what a race replica, like a Kawasaki H2R, like what that's fetching. I think it's like 50 grand. Harley is known to be an expensive brand. It's almost like a luxury brand of motorcycles. You've always considered to be not the highest performing bike out there, but you're still going to pay the $33,000 for the Street Glide after tax, title, license, and fees, or whatever it is. So we've all kind of just digested the fact that Harley is an expensive brand. You don't have to buy an expensive Harley. There's plenty of old Harleys out there that are not expensive. Go see Thrash and Supply's new FXRT that they just bought. You can buy some really nice bikes for, a decent price, and a little bit older of a motorcycle for a decent price. There are models that are less popular that are going to still put you on the Milwaukee 8 platform and all that sort of thing. But guys, I get that it's limited production. I get that. I get that it's like as close to the race bike as you're going to get. But announcing this as if it's like a for the masses announcement, the way it was teased, I was fully expecting a motorcycle that we were all going to be able to jump in on and be excited about. And while I might be excited that this bike exists, like there's 131 of them. There's going to be 131 owners. And again, some of those are spoken for. And you've priced it so it's so much of a trophy piece that it's barely going to be ridden because of the way it's priced. And it's just one of those decisions by Harley that it's a fucking cool bike, guys. Again, I just want to reiterate that. But $110,000, I just don't get it. I just don't. It's going to be an investment more than it is like a liability, like you would see with, a motorcycle that you're actually going to ride. It's a collector item for sure. So people with really, really deep pockets are going to buy this and go put it up on a shelf somewhere or display it. And I just don't, that's not in my blood. I don't buy bikes to let them sit. I don't buy anything to let it sit. And I collect things too. But the things I collect, generally speaking, like I use, like I'm a vintage video game collector and I play all those games. And for an operating motorcycle that will diminish over time the longer it's not ridden, and I'm sure there's going to be guys that, again, have deep pockets that will ride this and they'll flex on people and that sort of thing. But I just wanted to be so much more excited for this. I wanted to be a part of it. And that's what I thought we were getting, and that's just not what happened. So I guess that's where I'm a little bit, again, I don't like to sit and badmouth Harley too much. Like, I love Harley. I ride Harley. I'm just outside of Milwaukee. I grew up here. It's been a part of my history and the nature of which I've lived. And it's so cool, but like I just sit there and I look at that price tag and I just don't fucking care how cool it is. I just cannot get behind the pricing and on anything really. To be fair, like there's not a world where I believe that. I don't know what their profit margins is, but holy shit, guys! Like CVOs, it's just widely accepted to pay 50 grand, and it's so funny because you like roll up to the dealer, and I've done this at rallies all over the country here as well. And I remember when the 2023 redesigned CVOs came out, and I walked up, and this guy's inquiring about it, and he's talking directly to a salesman who's like, "Oh yeah, this is a $60,000 motorcycle," and I corrected him, and I think the bikes that year were priced at like 42,999 MSRP. And so I hate to be that guy, but I'm like, it's not a $60,000 motorcycle. MSRP on this bike's 42,999. And the guy straight up told me, no, we have it listed at 60. And it's almost like they're smug about it. They're like, yeah, like you're going to get the bike for 43K. Like, are we joking? $43,000 and I'm not going to get the bike? Like, that's where we're at. It's like 56% of Americans can't afford a $1,000 emergency cost, yet you got people out here financing with zero down on a $40,000+ motorcycle that they're getting for 60. They're getting their asses eaten by dealerships and Harley-Davidson just by the outrageous prices that they have on certain things. And so I don't have to buy the bike, right? So like, why am I complaining? But it's just like, I don't know. I want to see the brand thrive. I guess by releasing something like this, King of the Baggers most certainly is kind of pushing some success. Like people are really onto the ST stuff. The CVO ST last year was just out of this world awesome. But we've normalized $45,000 for, and I don't say this generally speaking because I don't view motorcycles as a toy. I view them as like part of me. Like that's what I do. I ride. If I didn't have a motorcycle, my soul would be sucked out of my body. And I think there's probably a lot of people that feel that way. But let's say for the sake of conversation, a lot of people talk about them this way. $45,000 for the toy, especially for us in Wisconsin who only get to ride the damn thing 6 months out of the year, which is sad, by the way. So, and all of you Northerners know what I'm talking about. And even some of you Southerners who just get to watch us cry about it up here. So that's my take, guys. Like, I think it's badass, but that's my take. I think it's a badass bike. I want to love it. And I did love it. When they did the release, I was like, holy shit, dude, this bike. And I was honestly thinking, like, this is going to be in the 60 to 70K range. And again, I guess that's my ignorance. I've done a lot of custom work to my Lowrider ST, and I realize that it's not cheap. My Lowrider ST probably has like $12,000 to $15,000 worth of mods in it. And this is, this is obviously well beyond that, full stage 4, the race replica, the whole thing, the whole nine. But I'm thinking, okay, CVO's already up here. ST is kind of in that same bracket. And then you've got this guy. So I'm like, let's throw $20,000 on top of an already decked out CVO. And I could see this kind of being in line with that. And when I saw 110, I literally laughed out loud. And I see people all over the place doing that. And it's just like, man, it's, I guess that's the intent. That's the point. But I'm just not going to share in the enthusiasm behind that. Because just to me, it's like it's a shit marketing decision by Harley. And I don't want to dog on the race team. I don't want to dog on all the people that poured their blood, heart, and sweat into this thing. But I think it's the big talking point that you'll see in magazines, you'll see in ads, you'll see across YouTube is, hey, Harley, sick bike. Like by far the coolest thing you've done in a long time, but also the shittiest thing you've done in a long time with that price. I don't care if there's 131. I just don't care. And so, again, maybe I'm just screaming into the void here because it doesn't matter. It's not like I'm going to buy one, but I just wanted to recap on my previous video. My excitement, it kind of went up. It peaked even after the announcement, and then I started searching for the price, and I couldn't believe it. I literally was like, I remember when trucks hit 100 grand. I remember my first house that I bought 12 years ago, and it was 116. And I just can't. What world are we in, right? It's the world of $1,000 smartphones every year or more now. So, anyways, guys, that I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna just take a step back from what Harley's doing, and pretty soon I'm gonna have some motorcycle content coming out. The ST's sitting in the garage. It's been on a trickle charger pretty much all winter. I've gotten her out a few times. We've had some warm days, so I'm excited for that. So stay tuned for that. I think we're gonna get some more of that stuff out. But what do you guys think? Throw it in the comments. 110 grand, is it justified because of how cool the bike is, or I guess do you side with me and like regardless of how cool the bike is, it's like 110K, like what are we doing? So and I know people have mixed opinions on that, so feel free to call me whatever you want in the comments. I promise I won't be offended. And let me know. And if you liked what you saw today and you want to see more, feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video. Again, as always, guys, I appreciate you watching. And I look forward to talking to you again. Take care.